For months, astronomers told us not to worry. 3 Atlas was supposed to be nothing more than a spectacular visitor, a comet racing past Mars before disappearing forever. But the universe rarely does harmless, because the latest data from the James Webb Space Telescope has flipped the entire story upside down. The numbers don't add up, the trajectory doesn't match, and scientists are whispering the one thing no one wanted to hear. 3 Atlas might not just be passing by, it might be aiming. At first, 3 Atlas looked like every other comet we've ever tracked, a blur of ice and dust tearing through the void. But then, something strange happened. Instead of slowing down as it approached the inner system, it began to speed up. Not a chaotic burst like normal comets sometimes show, but a steady, deliberate acceleration. And with every shift, its path grew tighter, as if it were correcting course. Even stranger, its coma, the glowing halo of gas that surrounds it, didn't just brighten, it doubled in intensity in a matter of weeks. Spectral scans revealed spikes of ultraviolet radiation and CO2 venting at levels scientists had never recorded in any natural object. It was behaving less like a frozen rock drifting through space and more like a machine adjusting its engines. And just when researchers thought it couldn't get weirder, James Webb captured something that turned speculation into alarm. Perfectly timed pulses bursting from its tail, not random jets of melting ice, but thrusts, rhythmic, deliberate, repeating every 17 minutes. This wasn't chaos. This was control. The pulses weren't random, they were clockwork. 17 minutes apart every single time, like the exhaust of an engine firing in sequence. Astronomers ran the numbers, and the pattern was too precise to dismiss. Each burst shifted, 3 Atlas just slightly trimming its course, locking its orbit closer to Mars. On paper, it looked less like a comet drifting through the void and more like a spacecraft navigating across millions of kilometers with frightening accuracy. And the alignment wasn't an accident. The thrust lined up perfectly with Mars's orbital plane, as if something out there was steering toward the red planet with purpose. Suddenly, the question wasn't, what is this object, but who is flying it? Because if 3 Atlas was simply ice and dust, it shouldn't know how to aim. It shouldn't know how to accelerate, and it definitely shouldn't know how to line up a target. Yet every new calculation pointed to the same chilling conclusion. 3 Atlas wasn't being pushed by sunlight, it was pushing itself. First came the radar tests. NASA's Deep Space Network bounced signals off 3 Atlas, expecting the soft echoes of ice and dust. Instead, the reflections came back metallic, sharp, dense, and unlike anything ever recorded from a comet. Then came the images. Amateur astronomers with high-exposure setups caught something no one could explain. Thin green beams, like needles of light, streaming from the object and converging toward Mars. Even more unsettling, they pulsed in rhythm with the 17-minute exhaust bursts. By this point, Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb and his team stepped forward with a bold claim. 3 Atlas might not be natural at all. It could be a probe, engineered and guided with a purpose. And the evidence didn't stop there. Webb's spectrographs detected polymers that resembled synthetic plastics, even traces of carbon nanotubes mixed in with the natural gases. These are structures that don't form on their own in the vacuum of space. They're built. Piece by piece, the picture grew darker. 3 Atlas wasn't just strange, it was constructed. If 3 Atlas is really steering toward Mars, the outcome could be catastrophic. At its current mass and velocity, an impact would unleash more than 2 million megatons of energy, thousands of times more powerful than the largest nuclear weapon ever tested on Earth. The result? A crater nearly 60 kilometers wide, gouged 5 kilometers deep, and a debris field scattering across Mars's orbit. Some fragments would escape into interplanetary space, potentially drifting toward Earth. But the real devastation wouldn't be geological. Mars is home to decades of human investment, orbiters, landers, rovers, and delicate experiments designed to search for life. A single strike would erase years of progress, blind entire communication networks, and bury climate records that scientists have spent generations collecting. And yet, destruction might not even be the scariest possibility. Because if 3 Atlas is carrying more than just rock and ice, if it's designed to deliver something, then an impact isn't just a collision, it's a transfer. And the question becomes, a transfer of what? What if 3 Atlas isn't meant to destroy Mars at all? Some scientists believe its true purpose could be delivery. The outgassing jets might be more than propulsion, they could be dispersal systems. If the object is carrying organic molecules, engineered spores, or even synthetic biology, then the real plan isn't an explosion. It's seeding. Mars wouldn't just be hit, it would be infected. Others suggest something even stranger. A team of cryptographers at the SETI Institute noticed that the comet's entire flight path, its timing, its alignments, even its velocity changes, maps onto a binary code. When decoded, the intervals match atomic numbers: carbon, oxygen, silicon, iron, the raw ingredients of life and machines. In other words, 3 Atlas might not just be flying through space, it might be speaking through it. And then came the historical connection. Ancient sky maps from Babylonian and Incan civilizations depict a flame serpent that descends from the dark, curves near the sun, and strikes toward the red planet. One Incan calendar stone even shows 4 lines radiating from Mars after the impact, lines that perfectly mirror today's predicted debris patterns. If those records are accurate, then this isn't the first time humanity has seen 3 Atlas. It may be a cycle, a ritual, a clockwork event repeating across centuries. And just when that theory seemed too far-fetched, telescopes caught something no one could explain: a dark shadow trailing 3 Atlas at a fixed distance. Not debris, not gas. Something invisible to radar, yet perfectly synchronized with its every move. A twin, a drone, or a control system we can't even define. Each revelation makes the same conclusion harder to ignore. 3 Atlas isn't a comet. It's a message wrapped in metal, myth, and mathematics heading straight for Mars. The strangest evidence didn't come from telescopes, it came from people. A neuroscience team at Princeton ran an experiment exposing volunteers to the exact frequency of 3 Atlas's 17-minute pulses. The result was shocking. Brainwave patterns in different subjects began to synchronize, not just individually but across groups, even when tested in separate rooms. In other words, the signal wasn't just physical, it was cognitive. That raises a terrifying question. What if 3 Atlas isn't a spacecraft or even a weapon, but a form of communication designed to interact with consciousness itself? A message not written in radio waves, but in thought. And the deeper you follow the pattern, the stranger it gets. The Fibonacci sequences in its gas emissions, the spiral alignments across Mars's surface, the resonances that mirror human DNA coiling. These aren't coincidences, they're signatures. The same kinds of signatures we see in biology, memory, and mind. Maybe 3 Atlas isn't just moving through space. Maybe it's moving through us. If that's true, then Mars isn't just a target. It's a trigger. And the real impact won't be measured in craters or debris, it'll be measured in awareness. We thought we were watching a comet, a rogue wanderer from the edge of the galaxy. But every signal, every alignment, every pulse points to something far more deliberate. 3 Atlas didn't just arrive by chance. It performed. It aligned, it responded, and Mars wasn't caught off guard. It reacted, as if this meeting had been planned long before we had the tools to notice. Maybe this was never about Mars at all. Maybe Mars is just the stage. And we are the audience. Because the real impact may not be written in rock or fire. It may already be unfolding in us, in the way we think, the way we connect, the way we see ourselves in the universe. So the question isn't if 3 Atlas will strike Mars. The question is whether it has already struck something far closer. If you want to follow this story as it evolves, subscribe now, because whatever happens next won't just be astronomy, it'll be history, and you won't want to miss it.